Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Rabbi Sai. This is Yehud 11. The program is 11 at 11, heard each and every Thursday evening on 6:20 a.m. radio at this time. We also have our programs that are archived and can be heard on a hotline. The hotline number is 641-715-3900, extension 247656. Again, our hotline number is 641-715-3900, extension 247656. I'm your humble host, Yehud 11. You can also go to rabbi.zone or to our YouTube channel, 11 Levin with the numeral 11, and you can see our videos. Rabbi Sai, we do it all for you. I'm in the middle of Sheva Brachas for my son Simcha Zisel. We had a beautiful, wonderful wedding, Torah Dika affair on Thursday evening at the Yeshiva Spring Valley, and spent a wonderful Shabbos in Tom's River with our new Mechatonim, Rabbi and Mrs. Yaakov Erlinger, and the Zaydis, Rav Hillel Erlinger, and his Rebbetzin from Denver, and Rabbi Walton and his Rebbetzin from Toronto. And I'm heading off. I'm giving you this, making this tape at approximately 4:30 in the morning, Rosh Chodesh morning, Rosh Chodesh Cheshvan, Tuesday morning. And I'm heading off to Toronto for the final days of the celebration of Sheva Brachas. This is a unique program in many ways. In one way, it's a unique program is that my dear friend and supporter, Rav Alter Eliezer Herman, a great-grandson of the famous Rabbi Herman of All for the Boss fame, who, as we know, was one of the founding fathers of Mesirus Nefesh in America at the turn of the century and thereafter. And his great Einikel, Rav Alter Eliezer, follows in his esteemed footsteps. He did a one-man protest outside the Lakewood Library for all the schmutz in their month of quote-unquote pride in the youth section of the Lakewood Library. So when Rav Aaron Kotler and all the king's men, all the Askonimlach were quiet about the library, and not one person came out physically with a sign to protest, except for the great-grandson of Rabbi Herman, Rav Alter Eliezer. And now he's donated this program as a schus, and join me in giving him a bracha and a tefillah HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that Alter Eliezer should be zoicha to ashirus, that he should be able to be moise nefesh like the Nachshon ben Aminadov that his great-grandfather was, and he should continue to be able to agitate and to koch and as an oshir to spend money to stand up for kedusha and for kiruv rechokim. And everybody should say amen. Thank you very much, Rav Alter Eliezer. It's a big chizuk to me personally. Morav Rabbi Sai, a Hasidic girl, as many already have heard, allowed herself to be baptized in a church ceremony, which is shown over and over on the video. This reminds me of a story that I've said at this forum about the Chavetz Chaim. Chavetz Chaim was running away during World War I from Radin. He landed up in a Jewish town when he came out of shul Friday night. He saw, I don't know if it was for the first time in his life, but he saw Chilul Shabbos. He promptly fainted. His concern for a fellow Jew, combined with his gefühl of the Chilul Hashem, combined to cause him to immediately faint. A week later, he saw it. He didn't faint. So he called a meeting in the town shul from all the Yidden to rail against the Chilul Shabbos. And he explained that I'm already becoming desensitized. I want to tell you, I'm ashamed to admit, when I first saw this video, and I saw the stupid comments that people are making on the WhatsApp, idiots. It's a kosher mikveh, it's not. I'm going to have to do this. Mamish ploiderai idiots. I saw this video, I krechts, and I went weiter. Tonight, in the middle of the Sheva Brachas, I didn't have Sheva Brachas tonight for my son. And I was at the wedding of the son of a dear friend of mine, Shimon Feingold from LA. Somebody came over and spoke about the video. And suddenly it hit me. How are the parents and the grandparents of this girl feeling? How are the siblings feeling? Aside from the Chil Hashem, aside from the terrible tzitziness of Shmad. But if we can't feel that, how would we feel if it was our own child, our own sibling, our own mishpacha? How could we just go further when such a horrific thing is happening? This was not a girl who grew up in Dubuque, in Saskatchewan. This is a girl who grew up in the Fulcrum and the Bosses and the Merkaz, from distinguished lineage. How does such a thing happen wherever a boysai? What do we say about this? What do we learn from this? How do we respond for this? The first thing is we have to feel pain. We have to realize that with all the Torah that we have, all the avodah, all the chesed, all the wonderful chumras that we're able to do and keep, there's something very, very rotten going on. And this is definitely a wake-up call from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, gewalt, gewalt, gewalt. Somebody wrote a note and said, there's another girl like this in Muncie. Another girl like this in Muncie. And somebody wrote a note and said that there are several girls in Satmar. You'll excuse me. There are several girls in Satmar. Several girls in Satmar who are doing this as well. I choose not to believe it until it's substantiated. But the very fact that one or two people can do such a thing, do we need more than that to be in tremendous pain? The first thing is, I was speaking to somebody tonight, and I heard the story of a Beis Yaakov girl from out of town who went off to college. It could even be that she went home at nights. And she was verliebt in an Eino Yehudi and a Gentile. And she actually went through a conversion process. And she married the Gentile at the age of 20 or 21. And she started to do some crazy things. Crazy expenditures and et cetera. Eventually, her husband divorced her. And it was determined afterwards, she herself became aware, this girl on herself, this young lady, that she suffered from a mental illness, from a mysterious case of bipolar situation. And she did come back, roaring back. And she did remarry, children. So the first thing is to be down the kavschus. Maybe it's possible a type of a mental illness. But even if that's so, the fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu would allow such thing to happen, whoever is foolish enough to think that this is an individual episode that has nothing to do with us, is missing the aleph phase of hashkafa. Person to shmad at this stage, this time, With all the knowledge we have, it used to be in the Derfa, before the Beis Yaakov movement, the girls were illiterate, uneducated. Maybe they were lucky Tzena Verena. But now, with the plethora of knowledge, the books available, the tapes, the programs, the information, and the Merkaz in the epicenter of Yiddishkeit in Williamsburg or Borough Park, whatever. How does this happen? It's a reflection on us. This is like an Egla Arufa situation. The Ziknei Ha'ir should be calling Mamish a kinnis on this. Let's see how long it's going to take. And if any organization, rabbinic, rebbes, rosh yeshivas, if anybody is going to speak about this, make a kinnis about this. So you ask me, Levin, what do you say? What do you want to do? The first thing I want to say is as follows. I believe that people who do this, they do this because the Yiddishkeit is so habituated. Mitzvahs anoshim lumado, habit, rote, R-O-T-E. There's no salz and pfeffer, there's no flavor, there's no geschmack. And perhaps certain things that they see appear to be hypocritical to them, and they suffer in different ways, so they jettison things. If the person would realize, if many young people who are called kids at risk would realize how choshev they are, mika'amcha Yisrael, if they would have self-esteem in themselves, self-confidence and self-esteem in their religiosity, in their spirituality, then these things would not even be a consideration. So one simple thing we could do is, when we daven, Tikah b'shoifar gadol l'cheiroseinu, blow the great horn, the great shofar of redemption of Mashiach. The next words, v'sa nes, and lift up a banner, l'kabetz giluyasenu, for the ingathering of our exiles. Tikah b'shoifar gadol l'cheiroseinu. These are elastic words that the Anshe Knesset HaGedolah formulated that can encompass any possible intention that we could have, any possible derivative, any possible application. Let us have the equivalent of a shofar blowing, l'cheiroseinu, not only for our communal final redemption, but as parts of the community for our individual redemptions. We need a big shofar blast to bring us back to reality, to bring us back to the get-go, to creation when God breathed into us a ruach mala, the ability to talk, to communicate, a soul, a chelik lekami mal. And what will happen? V'sa nes, lift up a banner, like soldiers in the war, or like the song we sing, the Star-Spangled Banner. We saw through the night that our flag was still there. The soldiers were encouraged because they saw the banner was still flying high. As a precursor to Mashiach, we need to come back to self-esteem and Jewish pride, to appreciating what it is to be a Yid, how fortunate it is. We have books and books and articles and Yiddish and Geschichte books and tapes and everything else. And somehow the message is not getting across. I wish that the Gedolim would call it Kiddush. Imagine the Kiddush Hashem, the 50,000 people would come out into the street. They'd all be focused on this one or two girls. They would speak powerful words of Kiruv from a dais in the middle of the street, in the middle of Manhattan on a Sunday, in the middle of Brooklyn. They would show how valuable one soul is. We would say Tehillim for her, and for others who are in the process of falling. We would do a v'sa nes l'kabetz giluyasenu. Each and every day we daven 3 times a day. Perhaps I can suggest that we have this intention on a continuous basis for everybody who needs it, for all the kids at risk, the potential kids at risk, the adults at risk. These people schmadding. B'soneis betzafai HaKadosh Baruch Hu rachmim. B'soneis, help us, lift up a flag for us, give us a banner. You know that famous iconic picture? A group of army people and Marines are running from two sides and the flag is slightly tilted. They're fighting to hold up the flag. That's what we have to feel when we say Tekabel Shofar Gadol L'Chereseinu. If we would be proud to be Yidden, it would be harder for us to sin. We'd be so proud. Certain sins just wouldn't occur to us. We'd feel foolish and ashamed. So we need Yizk Hashem, each and every one of us on our own madrega. So nice that we to gather us in for our individual golos and our individual estrangements, our richuk from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So those are the two things I suggest. I would like to see the Gedolim, the organizations, the Hasidic organizations, get together with Aguda and even the Young Israel and come together to give a cry of pain for the Chil Hashem, a cry of pain for the poor girl, the Jewish woman, a message, a shout out from 50,000 mouths. And what about our feelings for the parents, for the siblings, for the tremendous pain? Who knows how many people would be prevented from going further afield if we could do such a thing? It's not my responsibility. It's the responsibility of the Shvitzers, the Knackers, the Askonim, the Gedolim, the Rabbonim, the Rebbes, the Rosh Hashivas, the Madrichim, the experts in Chinuch and psychology. It's their achrayus to see to it that such a thing happens. But they can't stop any of us from davening, from feeling pain. And if you don't feel the pain, sit down in a room alone. Think about it. Put a face on that person, a face that's dear to you, and think, oh my God, chas v'sholem if that person, chas v'sholem if my flesh and blood would do this. Because we're all one, we're one unit. We're all limbs of one body. In the Dreyfus case, Reb Meir Shapiro, the founder of the Daf Yomi, was asked to explain, I think the Pasuk, Atem Kuruyim Odom, the Chazal say, you're called a man, and the Gentiles are not called a man. Isn't this disparaging? Isn't this discriminatory? So he explained, Atem Kuruyim Odom means even though you're a plurality, you're many Jews, you're known as one man, Odom, if I'm saying it correctly. Because when one Jew is in trouble like Dreyfus, Jews all over the world are in pain. They daven, they try to assist, and they try to help. Have we fallen so far from the Dreyfus situation? It's 100 more years later, 110, 120 years, whatever it is, or 100 years. We have so many creature comforts, so many things now. It's such a world of instant communication. Are we so jaded? Are we so dulled? We don't care? Let's enhance our own tefillah experience and connection with God. And ask God to lift up a banner in the lives of every one of us individually and then collectively. And if we hammer away at that in our tefillahs, certainly HaKadosh Baruch Hu will hear, will ameliorate, mitigate. And this should be an event that should never ever happen again. And now I'm going to offend a lot of people, but I'm here to offend. If you're not getting offended, I'm not doing my job. Offending is the name of the game, the pragmatic realities. I warned you that this flat mushmama is not going away. I said to you that the Rabbanim, the Rebbitzins, the Rosh Yeshivas, and the Rebbes in the community, thunderous silence has and continues to contribute to her being able to operate with impunity, poisoning the spiritual wellsprings from which our youth and many of our Weiber, younger Weiber, whose tichlich go up till here. That, you see, the tichlich up till here. You understand? When they're buying the sushi and everything, she continues to have a negative influence on them. And I warned you that this was just her first try, and she's going to continue to poison the wellsprings. And I can promise you that after 120 years, a lot of Askanim, a lot of Rabbanim, a lot of Jewish media, a lot of people who advise the Jewish media, no, we're not going to touch it. My Rav said not to put it on the computer, not to touch it. No, it's not for us. They're going to have to give a din v'cheshbon. They're going to have to give a din v'cheshbon. I'm not cursing them. I'm just saying it's cause and effect. If you spill a glass of water, the floor gets wet. If you ignore such a chil Hashem, somebody has to answer. Egla Arufa, the Zakanim have to come and explain why Yadenu lo shafchas hadam hazeh. That's for one person. Who knows how many people she's making call? 11, the election's over. What are you talking about Fatbush Mama for? What am I talking? Because I told you she's not stopping. She's a clear and evident and ongoing danger. Somebody sent me on Instagram that this flit head, this wiffle head, yeah, I'll say it again, this wiffle head put on her Instagram a letter from a lady who says she went to a mikveh and it was dirty and icky. And when she came home, she rushed to a shower. It was terrible. And a day later, she got an infection. So the Flatbush Tippish Mama puts this up. So what is she doing? It's another indirect way of being poiches in the concept of mikveh. Because if she had 1 ounce of seriousness, instead of putting this down on that everyone could see it, including your teeny boopers and your preteens that you said on the TV show with the black anchor, I'm just using that as an identification because I saw it on the internet, who was so proud. Oh, what are you doing to influence to change the Orthodox youth? Oh, I'm telling them you can go yay high, you can go much higher, you can break our ceiling. She said, so she's telling them, she's teaching them that mikvayos are dirty places that you can get infections. Now, is the story true? Is it not true? I don't know. But this I know. If she had 1 ounce of gefühl and maturity and respect for our rituals, Flatbush Mama, what she would do is she would contact the person who wrote her that letter, because she's a superhero for that person, and she would say, can you tell me the address and the phone number of that mikveh? And then she should call up the mikveh and say, this lady says she got an infection. Would you like to clean up your act? Or if not, I'm going to have to disclose it. I can promise you, if such a case really even exists, it's hard to believe that the mikvayos are not clean. But if such a place exists, I can guarantee it would be fixed. Why do you have to post it for your 30,000+ or 40,000 or whatever it is? People say people should get turned off because you're an oisvarfika, you're a kal. And the war, the opposition to this prutza, this poisoner, polluter of the wellsprings, does not end with the election. Now, here's where you're going to go crazy. I'm not saying there's an exact connection, but I find it interesting that her Instagram making chayzik of mikveh, dissing, disparaging, disgracing, disillusioning people about mikveh, is posted sometime in the area where a Hasidic, a scion of Hasidism, S-C-I-O-N, of a Hasidic pedigree, participates in a baptismal font, a little mini mikveh, if you will. So what do you mean, Levin? Right? What are you trying to say? What's the connection? Well, let me explain to you. when somebody who's little sneezes, and a little germ, somebody can catch it and get a cold. And from that cold, they could develop bronchitis. And it can grow and grow until it's a life-threatening situation. Reform movement started probably with a few very moderate tweaks of the Orthodox traditions. That was the little germ, the little nose of the camel under the tent. And then it grows and grows. Her disparaging of mikveh in a certain way, spiritually, leads, I'm not saying she caused this Hasidic girl to do it. Don't get me wrong. Don't go stupid on me. I'm talking in a general spiritual sense. You should understand. There's a connection. She is bringing, and people like her, whether it's the Chovevei Torah crowd, the Avi Weiss crowd, the Footsteps Oisvarfen, and she's part of this pantheon. They're bringing lowness. They're muddying the waters, literally. The waters from which we drink, the waters of Torah in which we steep ourselves. And that's the symbolism of what she chose to disparage. And Nebuch, this poor girl, also was a product in her own history, in her own life, in her own biography, of similar types of disparagement that ultimately led her to dunk in that baptismal font. What are you picking on? A nice Erlich Yidna. She covers herself up. What are you talking about? The flit brains who write letters to the Jewish press. Oxen. Foolish people. I was so clear in the article. Reason, step by step, what she's doing wrong. So somebody writes a letter to the Jewish press. Rabbi Levin ran for office and he lost office. She also has a right. I questioned her right to run for office. I'm saying as a democratic citizen of a democracy, I have the right to agitate against him, to say why she's dangerous and to say what she's doing that's dangerous. I'm sure if I would sit down and I would explain to her Mamala, like Rabbi Yosef Mizrahi sat down with her, a lot was accomplished, right? I refuse to stupefy myself. I'm not making myself stupid. Oxen remain oxen. The masses remain chamorim, jackasses. Yeah, those are the Rabbi say. Moving right along. Let me give you the hotline number again. A hotline, because there are many people who don't listen to the radio. They certainly don't go and listen, watch videos, and they can gain a lot from this. Again, why am I able to perceive these things and say these things? It's not because I'm so brilliant. Yes, all the Rabbanim were much more chashuv than me and much bigger Talmidei Chachamim. They didn't exercise this muscle in their brain. This spiritual muscle that's there, by them it's potential, and it's covered with a lot of crud and rust because they never used it. And I had a Rebbe named Rav Avigdor Miller, and another Rebbe, the Kasher V'Rov, and another Rebbe Chad Yomis, so to speak, of the Shalom B'Tzion B'Halacha, and Rav Moshe Halberstam, and on and on and on. And they spiritually cleaned off the rust on top of that muscle of mine, and I developed it. And that's why I'm ahead of these people in this particular area. It's like somebody who's brilliant in chess. When it comes to nuclear physics, when it comes to literature, when it comes to any other thing, math, abur amoretz. But in chess, he's brilliant because he applied himself, that's all. It's very simple. You put in the 40 years of sweat equity, you outsteig me. Meanwhile, I don't see too many people commenting on these things or making these connections or explaining it. And that's what I'm doing. And that's why it's so important. And that's why I'll continue to do it until I've tapped out every single credit card that I have. And we've got a long way to go, Rabbi say. And I'm confident that Hashem will help, that somebody out there or a number of people will help me defray these expenses. And when it happens, I'll report it to you. Chaim Tov L'Shalom. Rabbi say, we'll pause briefly, and then we're going to go on to the next subject. Last week, I spoke about the civil war of values that's going on in the Catholic Church. I explained to you what it has to do with us. You see, on a deeper Ashkafic level, we all acknowledge that Pope John Paul II, he gave a historic speech when he first went to the Roman synagogue. First Pope to do that in, I don't know, 1,000 or 2,000 years. And he said that we are branches grafted from the olive tree of the Yidden. He acknowledged that this stuff comes from the Torah. We all know that the Muslim stuff also comes from the Torah. A large part of it, a lot of ideas. Because Muhammad worked as a butler by Jews. So, there's a Rambam, I never saw it inside, it says that part of the reason for Christianity is to prepare the Olam that they should understand the concept of a Messiah, the Messianic concept. So when Mashiach comes, they'll understand it and they'll accept it, etc. I don't fully understand the Rambam. You could ask who cares if they accept it or not accept it. When something as powerful as Mashiach is going to come, why do they have to be indoctrinated into it for 2,000 years and you didn't have to suffer so much? But right, because of not accepting their religion. So I don't understand the Rambam, but good, of course, accept the Rambam, what he says, and if I was a bigger Talmud Chacham, I would understand it better. But I want to suggest something in a very general way along a similar line. The fact that Islam and Christianity are derivatives to a certain extent, are based on certain concepts of Judaism and Torah. So in a spiritual sense, they're sort of like stepchildren. You could almost see it, it's like Avram Yishmael relationship. There's something there, right? Semitic cousins. Shmuel actually did tshuva before he died, which we'll discuss a little later if time permits. So therefore, Islam still fights for certain moral values, even if Asar Kabbalah Shel Zanus were given and Tisha Kabbalah went to the Ishmaelim. Nevertheless, they're hypocrites, but officially their faith and their anhaga, klape chutz, is pro-tznius and pro-morality. And we see at Hayom Hazeh that a lot of their noshim go much more tzniistic than our noshim tzidkanius. It has to be said, I'm sorry. Let's not fool ourselves. They're not contoured. A lot of them are not wearing shrayadike begodim. Oh, we're all covered in the right place. Yeah, that's all the sneeze is, covering the right place. No, it isn't. Sneeze means not calling attention to yourself, crying out loud. Not causing an eye to look twice because of the flashy clothing, the colors, because of the way you move, because of the way you lift your hands and yawn in public or chew your gum or yadava with your friend real loud in the bus. People should look at you. I don't care if you're covered from head to toe. That's not sneeze. So, when we're doing the right things, so we're a minority of a minority, Torah Judaism, a minority of Jews, and Jews are a big minority. So then the Ishmaelim and the Christians do a lot of the heavy lifting for us. But as we do less and less, we kutchin you, mushin you with the Cuomos, we honor Gary Sher. You hear an idiocy? Aguda, is it downright perfidy or downright stupidity in New Jersey Aguda? They honored a while back, and there was a big newspaper article, a kiss-up article, Gary Sher. And David Gross, the Chacham, the co-chair of the, whatever his title is, of Aguda of New Jersey, honored Sher and called him a true American hero. Gary Sher is a true American hero. The Oiswaf was voted for garbage so many times when he can get away with it. It was recently, as half a year ago, when I did a shout out to Aaron Kotler, Rabbi Aaron Kotler. What do you mean? But and then he says, "Oh, I didn't know. I'm going to speak to him about it." Yeah, didn't know. Gross Knackerim. They don't know what's going on in Trenton. Now he knows. We ask of Aaron Kotler, here's another shout out. What are you doing about assisted suicide that might come out as early in committee as October 15th? It has to be killed in committee. God forbid it should get to the floor. So David Gross calls Cher an American hero. You understand? I'm jumping around a little. He's an American hero. Maybe in your book, maybe in Aguda's book, not in God's book. In God's book, he's a Chil Hashem. And the Askonim, the Chamorim, the Idioten who empower him and who lull our Jews into a sense of false security that this Cher is a mensch, because they give all these Hanifadik write-ups in the Jewish papers. I don't want to be in their shoes. I don't want to have to explain this to Almighty God. A facilitator, noch a tweet, noch a leckerai, noch a picture, noch a lie. So, since Aguda and everybody else are not doing the job, so you know what happens? Ipso facto. It has a direct and inverse reaction. So now, the Pope that's chosen is an ultra-liberal. He's actively and proactively working to advance the Mishkav Zohar agenda and to turn the Catholic Church's teachings on its head as much as he possibly can. And that's going to affect us because, as I said, when the Catholics sneeze or cough, the Jews get a cold, and the cold could lead to bronchitis, and bronchitis could lead to more serious things. And that's what's happening in our community. So this is another wake-up call to us if you know how to read the tea leaves and understand current events. And then there's a second idea that they're developing a civil war, which will ultimately, if it continues, develop into a schism. You know what a schism is? Another big word. Schism. A total split in the Catholic Church. There'll be the traditionalist Catholics, and there'll be two popes or two Zachen. It's going to split totally. That's going to probably happen sooner than later if this Chazara continues. But what does it have to do with us? It's very simple. Get it straight. What happens in secular society and Gentile society impacts on us. Don't be foolish. And we're also having it. Don't you see it? You have ASHEL, homosexual organization, Orthodox. You have the alumni, gay, homosexual, gay, lesbian, transgender, alumni of Yeshiva and Day Schools organization. You have Orthodox. You have tens of these organizations worldwide. And you have the Chayvei Torah Oisvarfen. And on it goes. And you're having more and more, you're having Orthodox synagogues, so-called. That the OU doesn't kick them out, to throw them out. When they do all kinds of Nevola, there's one in Washington Heights. It's becoming quote-unquote gay-friendly. Oisvarfen. So it's Stephania 6 all over again. I did something to them. I knocked down their buildings. Amarti, ach, tiri v'tikri musa. Hashem says you should see and you should take a musa. You should apply it. But you didn't do it. It's not only with destructive things. It's on all kinds of things. You see what's happening with the Catholic religion, lahavdil, with their leadership, with their stuff. It's a precursor. It's a harbinger. It's a signpost. It's a prognostication. It's a forecast. It's a prophecy. Enough words, enough adjectives here, yeah? It's going to happen to us, God forbid. It's happening already. It's been happening for over a decade with the Yitz and the Blue Greenbergs. And with the David Lichtensteins. I met two Hasidic people tonight. They heard the radio program. They said, what's with this Lichtenstein? What's he trying to kashel l'mechsel l'shishurevi with the Mishkav Zohar? You have to be nice to them. You have to give them an aliyah. You have to have them daven, all this stuff. They were shocked and outraged and horrified. But all the good Talmidei Chachamim, also Tipshim Lemechsel Shishuvi, called him up with the greatest respect. I'm going to answer your Torah riddle. It's all stimulating. It's intellectual. I in the hair. But it's Oisvar Farai what he was doing. it's my personal COVID. I'm a pin-pushing baby. I don't have any COVID. And believe me, he could slice and dice and edit me from today until morgen. Lo yomas kiechya. I think even with all this slicing and dicing, I think I acquitted myself admirably that people could understand who is the liberal and who's representing the Torah values. So that's not what's motivating this. What's motivating, we bring up Lichtzin again, is tonight at the Fargold Chasna outside before I got in, I was hijacked by two young light Hasidic people who were nishtoimim that a Yiddish person could do such obvious stuff against Torah values. All of this is happening in the frum community. Slice off, cut off here, trim off this. We're heading towards the same Chazarai. That's what we're supposed to see when we see the Pope, when we read the newspaper, we hear the news. It's not for naught, it's not for entertainment. All these things, the girl Shmadzach, it has to do with us. Hashem is showing us. She is shmadding. And what Aguda is doing now, kissing up to all these low-life politicians who are pushing assisted suicide, gay marriage, all the schmutz, the transgender stuff, the abortion, after the baby's born, you don't have to give it medical treatment. And in all these things, where's Aguda? What about that idea of the Torah scorecard? It's 2 weeks to election. It's 3 weeks to election. Why can't Aguda, Hamadia, Yated, Pin Lifshitz, Ruthie Lichtenstein, why can't they come out with a biblical scorecard and take 10 or 15 issues and put them down and give us the voting records in every Orthodox community where there's 1 million of Jews? Why? Because they would be doing their journalistic responsibility. You think they're not going to have to answer after 120 years? I sound like the Grim Reaper. I'm giving close to everybody. I'm not. Wake up. Wake up. What is the paper for? For Lubavitch propaganda? For Gera propaganda? Or you have a magazine, Ami, to kiss up, or Mishpacha to kiss up to the modern Orthos? That's what it's about? And never is the time or the space found. We're too highly. We're going to be Matama the kids if we mention the voting records. And with all our wordsmiths, with all our Jonathan Rosenblums, and everybody else, not to pick on him, Tux and Lux and Luxian and Tuxen, and all the right great Schreiberkes, Ruthie, my good friend Harav Avram Heschel, nobody can come on the way of saying it that will preserve the purity of the poor kids who are being pornographied in increasing numbers and who are being sodomized and brought into homosexuality with Alice Schwartz Yar. Why? After 120 years, these Jewish journalists will find out it's partially because of them, because the operative law is Hashem says that you don't care, I don't care. And in the areas that you don't care, I don't care. So there's almost Gezevis and Matzitza B'Peh and there's mallustrations, everything else. Having a newspaper is just fun. It's just an exercise while you buy slum houses in Philadelphia. Is that all it is, really? Or you do other things? Put on a frock, put on a big hat to machzach like Yehuda Levin, right? Harov, this or that. Write your big theories, your big different Torah, your philosophies. But don't give us a biblical scorecard before election day. Make sure that the Jews are going to continue to vote for that Oisov Komo. Who's going to have to give a din b'cheshbon? Aniu Basi, I'm screaming and yelling. I'm doing it on my own dime. I don't know what they're going to say. I don't know what they're going to answer. Again, hotline number 641-715-3900, 24, extension 247656. Spread the word, I beg you, become a shutef. Now there's some tzaddikim who are helping me out on WhatsApp. And we're starting WhatsApp with a vengeance, and maybe we'll go into tweeting as well. And hopefully, if these chevra help me, they'll be benched. I'm telling you, they're going to get a lot of schar. We'll have my tweets, my 29-second videos that I already started posting today. There's going to be a plethora. There's going to be a deluge of them. Levin Nation, rejuvenation, JEW. We're going to put idea after idea after idea after insight, and we'll name names and we'll criticize, and we're not trying to win a popularity contest. The Plutka writes to the Jewish prince, Rabbi Levin ran for office, he never won anything. The same thing Flatbush Mama wrote. Who cares? I'm trying to win a popularity contest there. I could be sweet and nice and comical and accommodating. I have the skills. I have the talents. I'm not interested in entertaining you and being a nice guy. I'm interested in telling you the score. It's hell and brimstone, baby, coming down the pike. You don't like to hear it? I'm sorry. Find yourself another religion. This is where the tire hits the road, baby. I'm not trying to win any popularity contests. Just, I want to get out of Gehenna, you hear? And I know I'm going to Gehenna. So, somebody's going to come upstairs and he's going to say, I didn't know about Cuomo. I didn't understand. I could have told me to vote. How should I know different? Please don't punish me. They're going to say, in the presence of Allah, did that person know? Was he told? Was anybody explaining them the truth? To understand what's going on with the Pope? What's going on with Flatbush Mama? What's going on with the Shmad? Was anybody telling them these things? Wait, there's a guy in hell. Levin, bring him up to testify. Bring him up. Yehuda Levin, what did you do on Rosh Chodesh Cheshvan? Tov Shin, Ayin Tes. Did you say Kach V'Kach? Yes, I did. So you did know. Off you go. Send Levin back to Gehenna. Wait a second. There's somebody else here now. Chaim Yankel. Levin, don't go back to hell yet. What do you say about this person? So I'm doing it for selfish reasons. They'll be so busy schlepping me out of hell. I'm not going to fry so much because I'm going to have to say Adis and all these things. What can I do? So I'm doing all this for selfish reasons. You understand, Rabbi Sai? As that idiot says, wake up and smell the coffee. Okay, let's go weiter. Let's see what else we have here. I want to tell you, as early as October the 15th, they might have a committee vote on assisted suicide. I'm just telling you, I'm not going to read it to you, waste time. The Rabbanim is, if you need Rabbanim to tell you this, you need Rabbanim to tell you to breathe. You need Rabbanim to tell you to wash your hands after you come out of a Beis HaKisei, to get rid of the germs, besides for the bracha. Why do we even need a Kol Kaira to fight assisted suicide? It's your grandparents and parents that are going to kill oxen. But there's Rabbanim. You want to find it, you'll find it. There's a Chayv Kaddish. Where's Aguda? Where's Aguda? Where's Aguda when they might have a committee thing? They're going to wait until it goes into the General Assembly, and then they'll fight it. They'll do a favor. They'll find the time to go down. Listen to a letter. Rabbi Nassim Leiter from Torah Jews for Decency. He's been a guest in this program. Listen to a letter. Let's see if I can find it here. No, I'm so sorry. I can't find it. Let's see. Anyhow, they sent a letter. He sent a letter, Rabbi Leiter did, to Avi Schnall, a rocket scientist. Schnall was the one, back when they had another vote, there was a woman, Carterite, if I'm pronouncing her name right, one of the assemblywomen from Passaic. What is one vote going to mean? So Schnall didn't do what he was supposed to do. This is already, he's getting paid to do it. I'm not getting paid to do it. Leiter's not getting paid to do it. He macht weg. Guess what? It passed the assembly, I think, by one vote. Passaic, the Ir Ve'im Yisrael, Schnall couldn't be the Pol Revere. He couldn't be bothered to let Meir Stern and the Hertz and everybody know what they were supposed to do to put a pressure on her. So they sent Schnall a letter now. What are you doing now? Assisted suicide. You have now a Democrat, Murphy and Oisvarf. You don't have the half and Oisvarf, Christie, who was no tzaddik, but he did or he would have vetoed assisted suicide, let's say, Murphy will probably pass it. So it's a big sakana. A lot of New Jersey Rabbanim were doing diddly squat nothing. The OU and Aguda, what are they doing? They tweet and schmeet and have pictures and kiss up to Gary Sher and every other lowlife. That they're not to publicize. But now it's a week or less before a committee vote or hearings, and you don't hear anything. They're working behind the scenes. Behind the scenes, they're working behind the scenes. Right. Like they work with Cuomo behind the scenes. Yeah, to stop homosexual marriage. Right. So they send a letter to the Mechutzev Schnall. So he criticizes because one of our people went down and he made a statement. It might have not have been the most sophisticated way of saying so. And it offended the liberal Oisvarfim Reitzchim that they are promoting assisted suicide. And he told them that enabling these kinds of things is similar to what Hitler and Nazis did. They got rid of undesirables. This is a historic fact. Now, should he have said it like that? Shouldn't he have said it? So Schnall says this was his answer. When he was asked, what are you doing? One thing I won't do. I won't send somebody to Trenton to call the people there Nazis and Hitler. Let's give a big hand to Avi Schnall. Wow, that was a sharp answer, Avi, baby. That was real good. Hashem's going to be proud of you as we stand in the foreshadows of assisted suicide that will lead to euthanasia. There's a plethora of articles on it, insights of how sakonadik this is. And you're fiddling around while Rome burns. One of the times I think you went to the Thanksgiving turkey gobble fest and you couldn't be bothered with what was going on in New Jersey because of what you were doing. I think something like that. But don't worry, David Grossout is grossing us out, calling it Gary Sher an American hero. Whatever happened to Chacham in his Haru b'dverechem? Oh, you don't have to be careful what you say. You know why? He's not a Chacham, he's Potter. When the Chazal said it was only a Chacham, he's not a Talmud Chacham. Gross will say, I don't know who Gross is, but he grosses me out. An American hero, he calls him. You're patting him on the back when he did such Navola. You know what Gary Sher did? Let me tell you what he did. When he saw that there was enough of a head count, he let that vote on assisted suicide go out of the committee. Yeah, he let it get to the floor, and he voted against it so he can stecheres the chazafis and told all the idiots in New Jersey, I voted against it. But there was a maneuver, wink, wink, blink, blink. There was a move to get it bottled up in another committee, prevent it from going to the floor. Gary Sher made sure to cut off debate and send it to the floor. He's also litenes hadin. I have no rachmanis on him. He's an oisvarf. And the people who are making him palatable, who are giving him cover so that our parents and our grandparents and who knows who else can be euthanized and suicided and plug-pilled, they're going to have to answer for this ritzicha. I'm being too Levins, being too angry, being too exaggerated. So I get angry and upset and emotional about Hasidic girls baptized and about people that are turning the other cheek to assisted suicide and answering smart alecky answers about Nazis and stuff like that. I'm sure this is what their Moshe Rav Yaakov wanted from Agudas Yisrael. I'm sure they're proud. Wherever they are now, they're looking down. They're proud of the Avi Schnalls. They're proud of what Aguda is doing. And afterwards, they'll send out, those fakers in Aguda, they put out some sort of a statement where it was sort of inferred as if they were getting the Rabbanim to get the signatures about opposing assisted suicide, stuff like that. Fakers, bluffers. When the Aguda had them raising money, almost $60,000 in Shlomi Dax, the singer's house, a fundraiser for the lesbian Christina Quinn. And Aguda was behind this. And Aguda people came down and gave money. We shall not forget. We will remind the tzibur of your perfidy. You can't even attribute that to stupidity. That's evil. And David Seifman, the city chief editor, the city editor of City Politics, on a page 2 story in the New York Post on a Sunday, a whole page long, where 5 to 6 to 700,000 people were reading the Post at the time. He says, I thought Aguda is supposed to be against gay acts and everything else. What are they going, raising $60,000 for Christina Quinn? Then he writes, she gave them money in the city council, in the allocations. So what was he saying? The Jew boys are into gelt of a begot. Thank you, Agudas Yisrael. Whoever says you're supposed to be quiet in the face of this jackass Chilul Hashem of ongoing of Agudas Yisrael so many ways is a chamor themselves. I have no respect. I'm not trying to be nice. I'm not trying to be like, Levin, you're almost 64 years old. This is the way you talk. This is the way to make your points. Yes, this is the way I make my points. I deprecate. Like the Gemara says, litzanusa, you put down, you make frippery and light of avodah zarah, of arayas, also you can make light. And they are making the equivalent of ritzicha and arayas through their negligence, through turning the other cheek and turning their heads and hiding their heads and lying to us and comforting the politicians. They're doing it, and I'll say it like it is. Let's see. Kudos to Lakewood. In Lakewood, it was District 10 and 26, even though the VAD told them when Corey, the Oyster of Booker, was running against Lanigan, and Lanigan stood for the morality, they gave a shtickle endorsement to Booker, the VAD. 99% of the Fruma Yidden B'nai Torah in Lakewood voted for Lanigan as the moral values. Who knows how much that was Matzel and Megan in New Jersey? And who knows if that didn't push off the assisted suicide bill? Who knows if those chusim are running out? Now there's a Murphy there. No thanks to Agudas Yisrael. No thanks to the VAD. No thanks to Rabbi Shedrovitsky and my dear, wonderful Reb Velva Weisberg and Rabbi Aaron Kotler, CEO of Lakewood, Rabbi Aaron Kotler. I'm sure the Zayd is proud. Yep. Yes, sir. Now in the final minutes, what should you do? You got to call your legislators. Don't be samech on Aguda, don't be samech on you, don't be samech on anybody. You want to do a mitzvah to save your own parent or grandparent from the horrors of assisted suicide. It's going to create a whole mentality of pulling plugs and doing all kinds of things. It's happening already in hospitals. There are reports it's happening for years. They save money. They want to get rid of the old people, the sick people. I'm begging you, save yourselves. Don't be samech on anybody. Call your assembly persons. Call your assembly members and your state senators and insist, no, there should be threats. They have to be told, we're not asking you. We pledge to you, we promise you. If you do this, we're going to do a 10 by 10, meaning we pledge to you to contact 10 of our friends and neighbors to pledge to vote against you in the next primary, in the next election, and they will get 10. And the Jewish community is going to rise up, and the religious Christian community is going to, you got to talk to them, stark, call up. That's what you should do. In the final moments, we just finished the Man Simcha Seinu Sukkos. And we're looking forward. These are the waning days of Dov Hikind, and January the 1st, approximately. Saman Simcha Seinu, it's a new time. A new assemblyman is coming in from representing Bar Simcha Eichenstein, who's so insulted that they have the chutzpah to be choshed him, working with liberal Democrats so much that he's not going to do the right thing. Simcha, if you're not going to be proactive, if you're not going to represent, say proactively, I'm going to be a leader in cutting these things off before they happen. Not I'm going to react, I'll do my vote. No, you got to be proactive, a leader. And if you're not a leader and proactive, and if you don't make it crystal clear from day one, in press conference, everything else, you stand against assisted suicide, not to wait until they do something to say a little bit. Do it now. It's coming down the pike, Simcha. We're going to hold you responsible because you're a young one. We don't have to wait until you become a power base to yourself. You're a young one. Simcha Eichenstein, do the right thing. We're going to report about you, if necessary, on a weekly basis, what you're doing. This is Rabbi Yehuda Levin. The program is 11 at 11. Spread the word. Check out rabbi.zone for the videos. Listen to the hotline number. Check it out. Rabbi Say, we should be zoicha to a gewaldige year of Kiddush Hashem. This is Yehuda Levin saying, a guten Tamid. Onward to the Sheva Brachos in Toronto.